Welcome to the Nerdfest where we chat and joke, binge on movies and games till we're utterly broke. Ben and Mike, they got that banter flow. Welcome everybody to the BM show. Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
All right, dive right in. Let's set this vibe apart, I guess. Is that how it goes?
Let's set this vibe apart.
Dude, so we were, oh, wait, here we go. All right, so tonight is a little bit special for the BM show. What, dude, he's actually showing his face.
Wrong button, sorry.
So everyone, we'd like to go ahead and wave. Everyone, this is Matt of our sister show, the BM Squared, which we are not affiliated with in any way. It's the clones of us that are. You can go ahead and turn your camera off now.
Yeah, I will.
He doesn't know what he's doing, people.
No, I can't. My brightness was all the way down.
Oh, okay. Well, we knew that already. We've known that since birth. It's been that way for you. So we were kind of making this joke about Matt Man, like before we started, and it realized something. See, okay, so I'm going to tell the mini story of Matt.
The mini story of Matt. Okay.
And I don't think that he is going to mind because it's a classic story. It revolves around his high school years. And when we're talking about Matt Man, I think he knows where I'm going with this.
I have no idea. You have so many stories about me because, just for the record, people, I grew up across the street from this guy.
So check this out. So Matt was a rocker. Matt was very much into a band called Matt-tallica. You may have heard of them.
Matt-tallica.
But for Matt, it wasn't just Matt-tallica. It was Matt-tallica.
Ah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, you had a shirt that said Matt-tallica, Master of Puppets.
Let me see. I made a few of these stupid shirts because I had a graphics class. I had a graphics class with like a silk screen. I made like some warrior dude with like an axe that's like a guitar and monsters, because it was like 1980 something. It was 1988. No, 89. I don't know.
And also on the back of this, you listed the songs like Welcome Home, Matt-aterium, Mattery. Help me out.
That should not be.
The things Matt should not be. That one's the best. So where I'm going with this, so I just gotta throw this out because when we did our BM Squared show, we talked about what had happened with Matt and his experiences when he returned back from the solar system. And I realized that we made that whole story Metroid. So there you go. It doesn't end.
It's also my name. We come up with these stupid names when I'm playing like some online game. And in this case, this would also be if I looked like a giant hemorrhoid, that'd be Metroid.
So we used to actually play a game that it's going to kind of come up today, sort of, which is interesting that we're going this direction. We used to play a game online, which was Phantasy Star Online together. And of course we had fun creating his characters. And I got to give Matt props here because he really went the full distance on this one with, of course, I suggested Matt-tallica for his first character. All of a sudden, then he made a gunner lady and named her Matt-tilda 2000. And then he made a magician with a big afro and named him Mafro.
Oh, that was your name for the record. You came
I came up with that one?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I'm going to take credit for that. I will gladly take credit for Mafro. So yeah, and he everything is Matt in his books. So we believe that he is a massive narcissist, or he just doesn't know any other names than Matt.
I'd like to think I'm smart enough to be a narcissist, but I'm not. So go ahead.
Well, I don't think you have to be this smart to be a narcissist.
I don't know any other
Narcissistic
words.
a narcissist.
I just don't know other words.
There you go.
I'm like Hodor. Everything where I say is like Matt. I'm like a Pokemon. Matt.
Maybe we'll see a Pokemon in the future.
That's right.
First, I'm gonna be a Pokemon.
I mean, how many Pokemon are there at this point? Like 300 or something?
They had that in the first game like 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, how many were in the Pokemon Catch and Go or whatever the big
Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go also started with something like 300 something or whatever. And then now it's got like probably almost all of them. And it's probably in the thousands.
Jeez. I still love the joke about the guy who said that his comment was he had a knock on the door at night and opened it up, and there were a couple kids out there that were asking him to go into his backyard because they detected some sort of a Pokemon back there to catch it.
Sounds about right.
It was, so I slammed the door in their face, and guess who caught a Pikachu or whatever, something like that. Man, I can't believe how big that Pokemon Go game was.
Dude, the summer it came out, we started kind of getting into it a little bit. We heard there's a park where you can get this one rare one. So we go over there and dude, it was crazy. It was like swamped. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, all these people who are out and about, like, while looking at their phone. I mean, they do this anyways nowadays, but like looking at their phone and like walking into the middle of the street. And
yeah,
it's funny because you're saying like there's a rare Pokemon in the area, but like everyone's there, so it's not really a rare Pokemon.
no,
The way that games,
everybody can get the rare one.
yeah, it's like the way that game was played. It sounds like it's like the common ones were actually the rare ones because no one's going out to catch them. Like, what did you actually do with the Pokemon? Like, did you actually battle them?
Yeah, you could. They changed around the system a bunch of times, and I don't know. After a few years, I gave up because they just changed everything around too much, and I actually realized that I'm not enjoying my time outside. So,
Oh, gotcha. I do. I remember going to there was a food truck rally or something in the park, and you were sitting at the table and made a comment about the location you were at was some sort of like restocking Pokeball area or something. You're happy about that. And I'm just sitting there eating my food.
I don't even remember how that worked.
like what I did with that, I was working an overnight shift, and we were stuck in this building. Like we had finished our work, and we were still stuck there for like another 3 hours. So we literally like played Pokemon Go, walking around this store. We were at what the hell were we? A Target. We were at a Target overnight, walking around Target. It's like playing Pokemon Go.
Do we know how like they actually determined how a Pokemon would spawn in a specific area?
Somebody told me one time what the whole formula was behind that. Yeah. There was a whole thing of like, is there every could it uses like location base. So it'd be like every couple feet, or like so many feet, or I think there was like supposed to be something of interest.
But it's going to be the same for everybody, so it's got to be based off of some sort of like longitude and longitude or latitude and longitude.
It's like when they were making the new Legend of Zelda games. One of the rules that they ran on was you must always like see something in the horizon. There's always a reason for you to keep going.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because it's Nintendo, right? Because Pokemon, I mean, technically Nintendo owns like 50% of the company or something. So I'm sure Nintendo was tied into the Pokemon Go a little bit, but with that mindset though of probably having it where it's close enough to keep you interested in keeping going forward. And like, I remember like we were playing it, and it kept telling us that there was a Pokemon nearby, but it was out in the parking lot. And we were like, so one was out in the parking lot, but there was a couple, like 3 in the store.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And was Was that store part of the mall? I think it was. It was telling us like the stuff was out in the mall too, but we were stuck in the store. We were rewiring their TV section. That's what the job was. But yeah, it sucked that we were stuck there all night.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. We've got a whole bunch of fun stuff to go over. So that is, I guess, free or discount stuff. We'll go ahead and knock that out. I'm gonna go through that as quick as possible, and then we'll just go ahead and jump into the topic. So I guess we'll start with what genre do you like? What do you want to play? Let me help you save on what you've got to pay. So here we go. Let's start talking about things that are free, things that have come out.
Is that the Broadway version?
That was the Broadway version. I'm thinking that was the Phantom of the Opera version.
Yes, that's off your third album, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah. The first album was actually gangster rap.
I remember. So that's how that's how I met you. Was I sent you a fan mail and
Yes.
Yep.
And the whole album was actually remixes also. So I actually released the remixes before I released the original songs.
Yes.
That's the actual way you want to do it.
And next week you're releasing your mixtape or your mixtape finally. So that
So let's talk about free stuff, and let's go ahead and start with Epic Games. So this week on Epic Games is the game Undying, which is a zombie adventure, walk with your kid type of game, crafting stuff thing. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, a $20 game just went free on Epic Games. You got till Thursday to get it. I did not check what was next. I should have brought that up. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here on Alex. What's that?
You said what's next? As in the next game they're gonna have?
Yeah.
Beyond Blue.
Next up is Beyond Blue.
Beyond Blue.
Which is if you ever dreamed about being a whale, if you wanted to identify as a whale, you now have the opportunity to do so through Beyond Blue. So that's what you're looking at. That'll be free at Thursday.
Who wanted to be a whale? I guess. I mean, there's people who want to be dogs and cats. I guess somebody wants to be a whale too.
There you go.
I've heard of dolphinoplasty.
Oh God, don't even. Yeah, these people they like.
It's South Park.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving off of Epic, let's go to Prime Gaming. The first game Prime Gaming is such an interesting pick for me this week around. First game that's free on Prime Gaming would be Ender Lilies, which is a Metroidvania brutal, I guess, rogue, not really roguelike, but this game is brutal, dude. And the bosses are bullet sponges. And how do I know this is because I've actually played this game. It's not bad, but it will frustrate you. And it frustrated me till I decided I didn't want to go on. But
for you, a good topic one day would be like your favorite Metroidvania games.
We'll do that. That's good.
There's so many, apparently.
Yeah. Let's put that in for something in March, and we can split it because Metroidvania has two sides. It has a Metroid side and the Castlevania side. So we could also split for your favorite on which side you go.
Yeah, because the only Metroidvania games I've ever played are the actual Metroid in Castlevania games.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never went and played I have a couple, but I never really played them.
I played too many. So yeah, that'll be an interesting topic. Another game that came out on Prime is going to be Blood West, which is a first-person shooter RPG style game. This is actually another game I picked up that I did not get far in because it wasn't my flavor. But if you like Western stuff and you like stuff where you're dealing with stats and growth and everything, this might not be a bad choice for you. Another game is one that Ben will probably most likely pick up if he hasn't already, which is Super Meat Boy Forever. which Ben, you could probably explain that they don't even have pictures of Super Meat Boy Forever. I guess they assume everybody knows Super Meat Boy at this point.
So assuming this is the sequel to the original game.
Yeah,
I didn't.
it's equal to the original.
This is the sequel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, the original one, I had that on the Xbox, I think. I have it on one of my consoles. But yeah,
This is funny. He said, Ben, you may need to edit this video because you can see their butts.
I don't give a shit. It's animation.
You try. Who knows?
Dude, there's some hot cartoon action.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Matt from.
See, now I have to edit it.
All right, so that's it for the free stuff. Until we get into a little later part here. Next, we're going to talk about things that are going to cost you money. But we'll go to Fanatical first with the bundles. They have the build your own Fanatical favorite bundle, which is going to be 2 games for $6 out of this list. Ziggurat 2 is just a killer game. I'm just going to plug that right now. But they've got some pretty good choices here. If you find anything you like, save yourself some money and buy it at Fanatical. If you're not into Fanatical's favorites, but you are a racer, they also have a build your own pedal to the metal bundle, which, Matt, do you have Ballistic NG yet?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. So this is going to be a 3 for $6. So if you see any racing games here that you might want to give a test drive, then
Indy carts.
do you see any?
And R64 like ripoff.
Oh yeah, that's definitely nice. Now, what I do want to talk about, just take a few minutes here to talk about, is the wonderful world of finding free games on, there it is, Steam.
Steam said that they don't have free games. They only have demos. What do you mean, Mike? Are you telling me that these guys actually have free full games?
I did not actually say that. I said that.
Oh, okay. Well, my acting sucked anyway.
When most of the time when you go to people that say, Steam dropped 8 free games, they're going to end up being demos, or they're going to end up being like pay for play stuff. Now, they do have free games. It's kind of fun to find it because that's where the hunt begins. There's a couple places where you can find it. One is you got to go to browse by genre on this very small part, and there's a free to play there. You could end up seeing, I say you could end up seeing a browse by category because there's a free category. It doesn't always show up. Or you could go down and then there's usually this browse Steam and then there's a free games there. Now, the thing about free games with Steam, let's go ahead and take a look at it and why I do not like it. So with the free games, it'll break it down into, whatever category you want. So let's just take RPG. And when you click on that, you're going to be given the popular titles first. They're going to push these ones on you, which are usually going to be like maybe the pay to play, whatever, pay to play.
Free to play. But then you're going to pay that. They'll give you like, okay, here's 5 minutes.
It's free to install, but if you actually want to even do anything in it, get ready to start coughing up some money. Then you get to the list of all the free stuff. And this is where the fun begins because this is all you get. And then you have to go show more and then keep going and show more and so forth. Now you can't highlight them to see a video of it, but it's still, there's quite a bit and everything's kind of bundled together here. So as you can see, my filter shows I have 1,261 games to go through. It usually lists about 20 before I have to click show more again. Now, if I take off the RPG filter, which I can't even figure out how to do right now, usually I can, it goes out to about 11,000 free games. So have fun with that. And yeah, that's why I'm not too fond of Steam, trying to hunch in Steam for free stuff. At that point, I'd rather just pay some money and make my life easier. However, what I do want to go through is a series of free games that I recommend you may want to look into. And I'm going to try to go through these as fast as possible so that Matt does not fall asleep in these. But there is some darn good things in here, starting with one that I actually talked about on the very first video, but I didn't show. When we talk about Cave Story, I mentioned a game called Yume Nikki. Yume Nikki is a very old indie game. It's one of the first indie games that made a big deal out of it, out of indie games. You can get it free online if you want to, but you can actually pick it up free on Steam, whereas Cave Story, the other one I was talking about at the time, you have to pay for. Now, something to keep in mind with Yume Nikki, besides the fact that it's a very old game, is that there are two versions of it on Steam. One is a remake version that is a you have to purchase type of game. If you want the free one, just keep an eye out for the one that basically doesn't say we're going to charge your credit card. So Yume Nikki is kind of an actually fun, relaxing, wander around, look at crazy stuff, but there is a game to it. However, you'll probably never beat it without a guide type of game. If you're into that and you're into the Lisa series, there's also for free Lisa the First, which is actually a Yume Nikki style game. It plays exactly like Yume Nikki. So if you like Lisa, you end up liking Yume Nikki, you might want to pick up Lisa the First also for free. If you're an RPGer and you're old school and you remember when the Atari crash that we talked about last time happened, you may want to look towards this RPG, which is called Moonring, which is done actually by, I believe it's the person that did Fable. And this is done in a very old school PC style RPG type of game. So if you're more modern, you may want to skip this, but if you remember those days, you may want to pick it up. Now, if you're more modern, and I mentioned we were going to talk about this earlier, you can also pick up Phantasy Star Online 2 for free. Now, there is some pay stuff in this, but you could squeeze out a good amount of hours without having to worry about that. And Matt and I have played this a little bit, not a lot. So do you have anything to say about it, Matt? Ladies and gentlemen, Matt has died of excitement.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You put me to sleep again.
Oh. All right, perfect. Okay. So that's your RPGs. Now, if you're into platformers and the precise platformers like Celeste and so forth, you have for free, you have to win this game, which I have won this game. And it's a very old school style looking game. Can knock it off in about an hour, but it's still a good one. But if an hour is too long for you, then how about you have 10 seconds? And if you have 10 seconds, good news, you can also get for free, you have 10 seconds too. And if you have 10 seconds too, then you can also get for free, you have 10 seconds 2023. This is a 4-series game. The only one that's going to cost you money is you have 10 seconds 3, which is like $3. But really what you get here with all 3 of these, you have 10 seconds, is like, I don't know, 500 levels or something. So you got plenty of game time to knock out on free stuff. Another precision platformer type of game that actually has an interesting aspect to it is Kali, which is not only just a jumping platformer, but it's also made a point as a tethering. So you're kind of swinging from place to place while you're playing. You'll probably see examples of that in the video while I'm talking here. It is an early access. It's interesting because I believe this one actually cost money originally. And then they just kind of said, I don't know if it wasn't getting enough hits, but they said, screw it, it's free, from what I understand. But it's free now. So as far as I know, it's free now. I hope it is still free. It looks like it is. Go get it. If you like a little action in your platformer, I would recommend looking into a game called Janos. And if you end up liking the game Janos, you can also pick up Janos 2 Prologue, which is a prologue, obviously a second game, which actually turns out to be a pretty much a full game as is. I believe it has 10 areas in it, as well as Janosk is a full game as well. However, what I'm going to say is you may not want to pick them up on Steam because Janos is free on GOG. You can buy Janos 2 on GOG. I recommend getting it there because for some reason people have problems with their controllers, and I'm one of them. However, Prologue is not on GOG, so you have to get it on Steam. We mentioned Cave Story. Cave Story has side story, which is also free, which is Cave Story Secret Santa, which is actually kind of like a stealth game. It's very different than Cave Story. It's a pretty quick game. It's also free. If you like Cave Story, go ahead and pick that one up as well. Now, if you're like, these aren't my style, I like to shoot things, and you don't mind your shooters being old, what's free is now Classic Marathon. You can get Marathon for free on Steam. Now, Matt's probably had a lot of experience with Marathon, I think.
I can't even remember. It's been decades.
Okay, well, you can relive it now. It's free. And the good news is you're going to say, wait a second, Marathon had a 3-part to it. Well, what else also is free is Classic Marathon 2 is free. You can get that on Steam. If that's not enough, Classic Marathon Infinity, the 3rd game in the series, is also free. So all 3 of the games are free on Steam. You want a first-person shooter, go get it. If you're anti-Mac and you still want a first-person shooter, another classic game, Shadow Warrior Classic is also free on Steam. And that you're looking back into the Quake days. If shooting isn't if shooting is your bag, but you like to drive as well as shoot, another free game you could look for is Flashout 3D, which is your anti-gravity racer wipeout style ripoff game, but it's still a pretty good game. The other games in the series will cost you money. Pick this one up first. Don't pick up the second one, even if that one goes free. This one's not a bad choice. If you like third-person shooter games and you don't mind playing a gacha game that you can put a lot of time in without having to worry about paying money, I highly recommend Snowbreak. It's a darn good third-person shooter as far as I've experienced with it. I put probably about 20 hours into this one, and the missions are over pretty quick, and I had a pretty darn good time with it. If you don't want to deal with a gacha aspect, but you still want a third person, then look towards Deathly Stillness, which is actually interesting because this is like the green jelly of, or maybe I say green jello of video games, where the developer actually says this is a boring zombie game with no plot, not an official release game. Please don't have high expectations. Yet all reviews are overwhelmingly positive for this game because it's actually pretty good. It isn't a very long game. The first-person shooter, which actually, if you're watching your screen right now, which is what you're seeing, I didn't like that level, but the other 4 levels were actually really good. So you may want to look into this one. And finally, going back to RPGs, because I raked it over the coals way back when we talked about free games on GOG, I want to plug this game, whatever it's called, Gust of Dragon. This is the one that on GOG people are knocking, saying you can't heal yourself without the game crashing. So I got curious. Now, keep in mind, this is also an early access. Yeah, it is still free at least. I got curious and tried it. And the good news is you can heal your characters. It's a very old style 16-bit type of RPG. You want to go back and experience those 16-bit days, this is where you want to go. Give it a go. And with that, we have now covered everything. So if you want to do Steam stuff, good luck. You'll need it.
So Snowbreak has co-op. We ought to try that.
Snowbreak does have co-op. Now I want to point out, and Ben, try to remember to get this in the cut when you cut this portion of it. Snowbreak does have co-op, but there's a catch to it. The co-op is unlocked when you get to, I believe it's like mission 3, 4, or something like that. The missions are probably about 5 minutes a piece, and there's, I think, maybe about 10 missions per section. So you do have to put a bit of time into the game before you can unlock the co-op.
That disqualifies me from any game.
Yeah.
Can't put actual work into it.
Now there's good news, Matt, is I can take a look to see if you can cheat in the game, which I don't know if you can, being that it's a gotcha game. So
I'm interested.
they're probably like watching that one. So there's something coming up here, but it says it's incompatible. Let's try. There's another entrance. Does another and what do I say? Another entry for it. Sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. Snowbreak does not have cheat codes. I'm sorry, Matt. That also is it.
I'm not interested anymore.
We should have Matt do on the BM Squared like a little cheat code segment where he goes over like all the new cheat codes.
Except I'm too lazy to do that now.
Okay, gotcha. So with that, you guys ready to dive into our topic today?
I am very ready. I was born ready.
So today's an interesting one. We're going to talk about shows that were canceled before their time. And I'm going to start it off because I always like to start it off with the show that inspired this topic. Way back as a kid, and you're going to find pretty much all my shows are as a kid because I don't really watch TV as it is now. Way back as a kid, I was a huge fan of Pirates of Darkwater. And Pirates of Darkwater, unfortunately, it was a quest for like 13 treasures. And after the first season, they had only found about half of those. And the show got canceled. And then they put out a few more shows eventually, and it got canceled again and went to comic or something. They never finished it. Have either of you actually seen Pirates of Darkwater?
I don't have a memory past, I don't know, a few hours ago, but I'd watched a tiny bit. Yeah.
It's interesting because it was for a cartoon, it was pretty graphic. Like I remember an episode where this whole thing was with dark water was like dangerous to you, but it like floated in the ocean, so you had to try to get away from it. Some lady in it was using it for like a beauty concoction or something, and by the end of the episode, her face was like turning old and melting and everything. And this is a freaking cartoon on like Saturday mornings. So it's an interesting one. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Even
Was
though
it one of the Disney cartoons?
it's Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera? Okay.
Yeah. So it has a Hanna-Barbera style. I believe it's Hanna-Barbera.
Quick sidebar. Quick sidebar that reminds me. I was just hanging out with some family friends that have a kid, a little kid, and he has a Bambi doll he loves very, very much. And it just reminded me how brutal that movie was, a kid's movie, where you watch the mother burn. Sorry, plot spoiler. Isn't that just like hardcore for a Disney?
Like, what are you talking? What are you talking about right now? Barbie?
Bambi.
Oh, Bambi. Oh, I think you said Barbie.
Yes, Barbie's mother burns.
Well, because you burn Barbie and they just melt. And I was talking about the lady's face melting.
That's why I said it, because she's a witch.
Gotcha.
Okay, you may proceed.
So yeah, I just double checked. It is Hanna-Barbera that does it.
Okay.
Looks like. So
I think they did a video game based on it at some point too. There's like an arcade game.
They had a Sega Genesis game, they had a Super NES game, and the two of them are actually different play styles. Sega, like a side-scrolling action, and the Super NES version was a brawler. And it's interesting because I wasn't a big Genesis fan, but I had both of them, and I preferred the Genesis version of the game over the Super NES version. That's one of the few times that happened.
Matt, you want to go next, or you want me to take it?
Yeah, sure. I got a few, however many you want to run. Okay, the one obvious one would be Firefly.
Firefly.
Ah, damn it.
You want? Okay, I'll let you hit maybe that one. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can handle that one. I got plenty. So, one that was okay. They canceled it on a cliffhanger, a dope ass show, and then they tried to wrap it up, but they didn't wrap it up well with a little tiny made from TV movie. Ray Donovan. I'm like super all into like sci-fi stuff, and that's my thing. When I watch a show that isn't sci-fi, that means it's really good. So,
What is Ray Donovan?
oh, he's sort of like a fixer. It's starring the dude that played Wolverine's brother in the crappy Wolverine movie.
Oh, Origins?
Yeah.
I think there's a crappy one. I'm like the only person that doesn't think that was a crappy movie.
Well, it wasn't cartoon. It was
Origin. What's the one where he goes to Japan?
that was a good one. That was the Wolverine.
That was the Wolverine.
That one was pretty cool. No, it was everybody hates the supposed Deadpool at the end of Origins, right? But actually, if I didn't know who Deadpool was, I think it's kind of cool. You may go ahead. No, if you want me to talk about Ray Donovan,
Yes,
that show.
Donovan.
Yeah, what is that show about? Okay, so this guy's like a fixer for like, I don't know, big movie guys. He goes and like, I don't know, takes care of the stuff that nobody wants to do to like make deals work, like, shake somebody down, threaten somebody. But he's not a horrible guy. He's got really, really, really flawed dude. Like, he screws around on his wife, but he doesn't want to. He had like this totally messed up upbringing, and you kind of feel for the guy, and it's really deep, complex stuff. It's got like so much going on. It's an awesome show, and usually it will have a season ends where it's like it could have ended the show with it. It feels so wrapped up well. It's like, okay, that was so awesome. That felt complete. Like they could have wrapped up the whole show. The one season where they actually do end on a cliffhanger, it gets canceled. Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. And it was a crazy show. It's like one of those shows where so much effort was put into it. Like one of those, all the cylinders, every little element about it, the production, the thought, the acting. It's like top notch stuff. Everything about it.
Cool. Well, since you brought it up already, I'll move it up the list a little bit, and I'll talk about Firefly.
Which is interesting because I would like you to talk about Firefly because I know of Firefly, but I never obviously watched Firefly because that was at the point where I wasn't really watching shows. So tell me about it.
Okay, so Firefly was created by Joss Whedon, who originally created Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this was his attempt to try to do something different. So it's about these, they call it a sci-fi space western, and it kind of was. What happened is they put this show on Fox. And Fox looked through some of the episodes and they decided that they wanted to put the most exciting episode as the season premiere or the series premiere, not taking into account that there's kind of a story thread running through all the episodes. And to play them out of order, you are messing that up.
Yeah.
Including, who the hell are all these people? So they played it out of order. It really screwed the show up. It only lasted for one season. They did get a movie called Serenity that does wrap up. It wraps up pretty much most of the stories, which was also done just to shut the fans up because the fans wouldn't shut up. Because this movie, this whole show just got completely. They just destroyed the whole thing. I remember being excited for it and thinking, oh, because I was like a big Joss Whedon fan of everything that he was working on. Back then you didn't know that this guy was a creep. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna watch Firefly. And I put it on the first episode. They're doing a train thing. And the whole time I'm like, who's this guy? Who's this chick? Why is this person here? And all of a sudden, like an episode later, I think they finally played like the original, like the first episode, like the second week. And I might be wrong on that, this was years ago. Then they finally show you who the fuck all these people are, and you're like, oh, okay. So I guess the train thing happens, and now we're getting a flashback. I mean, it makes no sense. It just Fox screwed the show up.
That's interesting because there's a show that did something similar that Matt and I watched, and I remember Matt's reaction to it. It's an anime show. It's called Record of Lodoss War. And it literally starts the very first episode. Now, unlike with Firefly, this was actually planned to do it this way. The very first episode is about the 5th episode in the series, but they plan it to where you all of a sudden you're seeing all the characters. You don't know who any of them are, and they're going through this adventure. And I remember this was when I was big in my RPGs, and this is like an anime RPG type of show. I watched this with Matt. And I don't know if you remember this, Matt. Watch the first episode, and Matt looked at me and was like, do you really want to watch more of this show? And I was like, and because I was a big RPG fan, I was like, yeah, I do. Mainly because I was curious on how it was going to be an RPG. Then we went on to the second show. And at that point, it starts the whole story of who the main character is. And he starts doing his quest out and starts meeting everybody else. And literally, he and I were both hooked on the show. But it did the same thing intentionally, and kind of had, it sounds like the Firefly aspect to it in that way, where it's like you're just thrown into the middle of it and you have no idea what's going on. It's like, well, why do I care?
Yeah, it's like you gotta. Okay, so most of the time when you get a first episode, you get a ton of exposition. They call it laying pipe.
Yes.
And there's no, you're watching this episode, you're waiting for them to lay pipe, and there's no pipeline at all. They're just like, well, of course you know who these people are. This is episode 5. And yeah, it was really an injustice, I think, to him, and I think it also was like Fox not taking him seriously. And this guy, he later went on to like direct the Avengers, so it's not like he, didn't do anything with his life.
Just the amount of people that are just calling out for this show to like return on like certain networks, it obviously is like really big at this point.
Yeah, but
at this point, he's actually kind of canceled, sort of.
Oh yeah, because like Joss Whedon, they found out that he really, really liked the girls on the set.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I don't foresee anything with his name attached to it coming around anytime soon. Like there's even talk that they wanted to reboot Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that's like that's been given up on because number one, nobody's really asking for it. Yeah. A lot of these things, like nobody's asking for it. Who like, oh, we're bringing this show back. Why? Because you can't think of anything new.
Asking for the BM show to come back, but we did.
That's different because at least we're the same people who had it the last time. Where you're getting these people and they're all new people. They don't even know who these people are.
Exactly.
So, is there anything else you want to add to this, Matt? Since you were going to bring up Firefly in the first place?
Well, yeah, I watched it when it aired, and I was sort of like, huh. I mean, I'm like, okay, this is cool, but it didn't spark my interest. Like, I love the show once I watch it in order. I got the DVD of that and the movie and stuff, and loved it. If I watched DVD of it,
show is like completely into Summer Glau, who I'm going to be mentioning another show that she was in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know what show I'm talking about, can you lead that one to me too?
Yeah, it wasn't on my list, but I think it's the one with the people with powers, alphas, right?
No. The next one I'm going to talk about is it's a movie franchise that they turn into a television show.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'll be back to tell you about that. And
That's your
she'll be
choice.
back. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Matt?
Nope. You may proceed.
Okay, so I don't know if you may know this one, Matt. This was one that I loved as a kid, basically because of the way they held their guns in the series. And I actually just watched it recently, probably about a year ago, and there's some interesting stuff that's in it. Um, there was a show that I think it only got 6 episodes that aired before it was canceled. It was like a 1 hour action type show called Otherworld.
I can't believe you mentioned that. That was like I thought nobody would remember that. I wouldn't. I would. It was like the first thing that showed up on my brain, but I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have even mentioned it because I thought nobody would know it.
Oh, dude, I love that show. I love the fact that they held their guns upside down in that show. But like, if you go back to it now and watch it, it's like the first episode is basically about like a um police city state type of a situation. They have things with like going off the island for I think it was like sex trafficking and things like that. Just these serious issues, but it was like shown on a time that would be like a family time. I think that's kind of what killed it.
Yeah, you get in like sometimes the shows are on at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would take a ton of effort of research on our part, but we could make that a topic one week, but we'd actually like have to research actual shows where we can actually prove that they were on at the wrong time. Yeah, I never heard of that show. So
This is like 80s, right?
Yeah, this is like mid '80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's worth seeing, even if it's a super old show. It's worth seeing now just to see the material that's in it.
what's it called again?
Otherworld.
Otherworld. Okay.
Yeah, I ought to check that out again. You found it online somewhere?
Yeah, you could. I think you can just find it on YouTube.
Nice.
This like up as Otherworld episode 1 and so forth. I think that's where Maria and I are watching it.
You know, I tell you what, one of the subscriptions that I never mind paying is to pay for YouTube Premium, because I watch so much YouTube and there are movies on there. There's TV shows. I mean, you're not going to find everything you're looking for, but you're going to find a lot on there. I mean, there's a lot of movies that we've reviewed where I literally watched them on YouTube. I don't think they were supposed to be on YouTube. I watched them on...
How much is YouTube Premium?
What's that?
How much is YouTube Premium?
YouTube Premium, it's like $14 a month or something like that. But if you pay for the year, it's $150. $150. No, just $150. Yeah. So, but like for $150, I used to get it for $10 a month because I used to have I got the plan back when, and they grandfathered me all the way up until last year. And then they said, okay, you're a big boy now and you can pay big boy prices. And then I cried and sucked on my thumb for a bit, but then I said, I'll pay for a year and pay for 10 months instead of paying for 12. So it's like $15 a month after taxes. Yeah.
They got you by the balls.
Yep. Matt, you're up next.
All right, let me see. I got plenty to work with here, and I can just run right through them if we're out of time, whatever. So,
We got plenty of time, Matt.
okay, cool.
Our shows, we could go 2 hours sometimes.
All right. Well, so you want to go with some more obscure ones, or you want to go with some stuff maybe people know?
Which one is Matt gonna go conspiracy theorist again?
Oh, I'll go with conspiracy theory all day long. I'll just go take a moment just to go conspiracy theory just for a moment, just for no reason whatsoever.
Matt's next pick is the Jesse Ventura of Conspiracy Hour.
We don't discriminate here on the BM show. Go as crazy as you want to, Matt.
All right. Yeah.
Just as long as it isn't something that's like illegal to talk about, because I don't really want to go to jail because you went too crazy.
Yeah. We're not doing that again.
No more jail anymore. Yeah, we'll have recovered from that.
Once you have to knocking on your door and not ours.
All right. Okay, so continuing where I left off last week. Trump did not say anything about aliens. Bum, bum, bum. I know they're always a big surprise. What was that?
He meant to go crazy on TV shows, I think, not to go back into what we were talking about last week.
You just opened this. What's that? Said I told you I just talk about random conspiracy stuff. You opened it up. Too bad. You gotta let me talk. I have the floor. All right. So
All right, I gotta go use the bathroom. Go have fun.
Okay. All right. I'll just make it quick. I was wrong. Trump did not talk about aliens. I did say he might.
All right. Well, there we go. I'm glad that we all know that Trump did not discuss space invaders at this point, but it's still open. It sounds like, according to Matt.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Okay. All right.
Conspiracy Matt Fist.
All right. Okay. Want to make some like wagers on if there's going to be like people seriously talking about aliens this year?
No, I want to hear your next show.
All right. Just give me an offer. All right. Okay. So some fun obscure stuff. Let's see. I got a few of these. Since we're talking, what was that?
Just one, and then we'll keep going
Yeah,
around.
I know. Okay. Since we're talking about old stuff, here's one that's at least 20 years old. At least, probably more than that. Probably more like 30. Nowhere Man. You guys ever heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard of the show.
Yeah, that's Bruce Greenwood, who became like a big movie star soon after that. Let's see. In this one, this is also maybe only barely, if at all, probably not really sci-fi. This is another one that's not sci-fi, so that means it's good. So this dude is like, I think he's like a painter or something like that. It's been a long time since I watched it and I have no memory, but he, Nowhere Man. So he's a painter or something, and he paints something that looks like some guys being, hanged. I don't know what the word is, killed, like through like some sort of a terrorist organization or government kill squad kind of thing.
Even though it would be easier to say hung, the proper way, if it's a person, is they got hanged.
Hanged.
I don't know why. It should just be hung. I've had conversations about this, but apparently the majority of the world prefers hanged, even though I've heard people use hung before.
And the guys could have been, you don't know. They had bags over their heads and couldn't see anything with it where they were wearing clothes. You couldn't tell. All right. So so this guy has like government people seeing something that this painting, it seems to look exactly like some photo that was who was a photographer that had this photo of these actual guys being killed by the government, and he got like government people like coming after him. Conspiracy time. And like they erased his identity and they're after him. I'm trying to remember because it's been so long, but I remember it was good. And then boom, it was gone.
I remember. I didn't know that was like he got that was the whole story of it, but I remember something where that sounds familiar. So I may have seen like a couple episodes of it. But that's ironic that it got canceled when it's something about the government going after a person like that. And we mentioned Otherworld, which also got canceled when it's got things that are basically we don't really want them to know about this. So just tell them they're conspiracy theorists and we're going to take that off the air.
Because they know that people in other dimensions shoot their guns upside down.
Yes, exactly. And erase memories.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's all I know.
Nowhere Man was the theme. I is nowhere man living in a nowhere land.
One of the weakest Beatles songs, but it's a Beatles song, so it gets some notification. No, but yeah, I think they might have. Use it somewhere in there. Yeah.
Crap, they use that, and we still don't have what about breakfast at Tiffany's for breakfast at Tiffany's?
Yeah, even though like the song came out like decades after the movie was released.
Many decades.
Many decades.
It doesn't matter. They can add it now.
Dude, the girl was dead by the time the fucking song came out. Holly Go Lightly was Holly Go Deadly by the time that song was released.
She said, I think I remember the girl. It would have worked, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
We ready to continue on here?
Yes, I concede my time.
We're going to continue on with Summer Glau. She played a robot in Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yes, I should have thought of that. That was an awesome show.
Excellent. Oh my God. It was such a good show. Lasted for 2 seasons, ends on a cliffhanger. We've heard this one before. And it's like, this show got like, I don't know why it didn't stick around. I watched it on, I haven't, the first season on Blu-ray, but I watched like the first 2 seasons of it, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know why the show never found an audience. I'm like, it's the Terminator. And it's actually done well. It's done by people who are willing to do all kinds of tricks to make things happen. You know, they're like, oh, we don't have enough budget. Well, we'll make it work. We'll find a way and we'll make it work. And they did. And it didn't look like they were trying to make it work. It just worked. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you watch it and you could tell they're cutting corners. I mean, here you can kind of tell it's not as big of a budget as the movie because, of course, they're not going to have that. But also, they couldn't get Linda Hamilton to come and play the role of Sarah Connor. You know, and it's a TV show. It's all new people. But yeah, I actually thought it was a great series. Matt, you've seen it too, right? I'm assuming.
Oh, dude, I love it. I can't believe I didn't think of that one. That one's epic. That's like an excellent choice. 'Cause, oh my God, that show was awesome. It had the best, writing of like the original idea of Terminator was amazing. And then I don't think anything else is. I love people love Terminator 2, and it's cool and everything. But that show was just about the best Terminator series has ever been.
There's one of the YouTube shows that I enjoy watching is Caravan of Garbage, which is part of Mr. Sunday Movies, and they were talking about that they went through the Terminators, and they also did the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, and they consider there's Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and then there's several attempts at Terminator 3, and this is to them considered to be one of the better attempts at the Terminator 3. Yes, I know there is a Terminator 3, and they know that too, but they consider that to also be an attempt at Terminator 3.
Yeah.
Because like they almost
forgettable attempt.
They almost market the point. But yeah.
Yeah, there was a scene. It was probably the last episode of the second season. It was epically creepy and awesome, and also kind of young boy fantasy. You know the scene I'm talking about, right?
It's been a while since I watched it.
Dude, that scene was epic. It was just so amazing. Where like he has to reach inside of her, and he's got to be like in love with her and stuff, even though she's a robot. But of course,
so you're talking about Summer Glau's character, the role,
yeah.
the good Terminator. Yeah, there's just like in most of these Terminator movies, there's the good Terminator and a bad Terminator. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so this guy is a younger John Connor, and oh, dude, there's so much going on in that show. But
wasn't she posing as a high school student in the beginning of the series?
Yeah, at first, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, that was like his crush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Imagine that, like, you've got the crush on a girl, and she's actually a cybernetic organism that's been sent from the future to protect you.
Yeah, I know. I hate that.
That's kind of mess with your head.
Every single time, man. So, dude, that scene, oh my God, it's sort of like, it's like he's like going inside of her chest, grabbing some part of her right up into her face. He has to be like right up against her. I think she was like on top of him or something absurd, like, because I remember.
He's like this
And
kid
it was insane.
moves, and he's just playing with it.
It's I haven't even watched this, but it sounds like you guys have been watching this on Pornhub.
Oh, makes sense now.
That's who's streaming it.
That's why I didn't.
Pornhub gets the streaming rights to a regular television show. Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that was the Terminator, the Sarah Counter Chronicles. If you get a chance, definitely go check it out, especially if you enjoyed a majority of the Terminator movies.
So I'm going to take it back to 80s Saturday morning cartoons. Here's one that you may know, Matt. I don't know if you watch this or not. I did. And this is a show that almost made it. Evidently, this show got to, I think, its last episode. And when they're putting the last episode together, I guess, like, forget this and just cancel it outright. But there's such a good show. It was Dungeons and Dragons. You ever watch that as a kid, Matt?
yes, that was an awesome show.
That
I was like, dude, at my age, it was probably what, like, I don't know, 10 or something. I don't know, maybe even a little younger. I'm about a year and a half older than Mike. And dude, that was a perfect age where it like got me like thinking about, that kind of stuff all the time. It was such a dope show.
And it was good because it was still a kid's cartoon, but it wasn't a slapstick kids cartoon. It had those type of personalities a bit, but it didn't overemphasize them. I think that was one of its strengths. And what I found out about this is evidently in 2020, some fans, they did a fan made, decided to last episode complete the series. So it lived on until then, where people finally said, we're going to do something about this and finish it up. So that's like almost 40 years to finally get that last episode to close it out. That's pretty impressive to live that long.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen that one, Ben, and you can handle cartoons still, that's one to check out for sure.
Well, I mean, for when I was young, it was awesome. I don't know if it'll hold up to modern stuff. Have you watched it recently?
I'm not going to say that I watched it a few years back or anything on DVD and got the set. But if I did, I didn't think it was bad still. And that's where I'm saying that it still has that kid aspect in the personalities of the characters, but it doesn't overemphasize that aspect. So it gets by.
Cool.
And it goes to Matt now.
All right. So here's something a little bit obscure. I didn't even know about him until I was looking around for cool shows, that came on recently. J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson dude, who also is like hella ripped Santa dude. He had a show that only lasted 2 seasons. It was on some obscure like AMC or something like that. I forget. And it was called Counterpart. You wouldn't have heard of that, I'm guessing, right?
No.
Yeah. So in this show, he works for some company and he does something kind of like sort of like a spy, sort of that works in a bureaucracy, where he goes up into some room where he gets some information from some people and coded and just gets that and gives it to some people and then files some stuff and does some stupid what do you call it, just bureaucracy stuff. But then at some point, and also a plot point, his wife had died from a car accident or something like that, maybe a year or two ago in this time of this show. And he finds out at some point that there's an alternate version of him from another universe. And that's what he's been doing when he goes into his work things, where he goes into these places where he gets this encoded information. There are these people from these 2 alternate universes sharing information. And it's pretty cool. It's one of the least sci-fi like shows in this, like how a lot of these shows will kind of have a crutch, like where they, I don't know, it wouldn't work at all without the sci-fi. This is one of those ones that kind of feels like it even could work without the sci-fi elements. So in this other world, his wife is alive, and there's a badass version of him who's not like, the ordinary office dude. He's like a super badass like spy guy, and his acting is unbelievable. He plays this kind of meek guy that like seems genuinely like a crushed, mellow, weak guy, and then he plays the most badass dude. Like boom, 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 instantly. Like it's impressive. You don't even feel like he's the same character.
So just out of curiosity, do these two versions of him, I guess, like interact between each other? Are they aware of each other? And
Yes, yes. Let's see. He gets thrown. The main one that's mellowed, ordinary guy. I guess. I guess he gets thrown into the other world. I'm trying to remember the plot because there's another show that's kind of like this, that a very similar idea. That was another dope show, but it's still going, so I'm not going to mention it. But I get confused because I have the memory of a very, very dumb dog. That's my memory. So in this one, there's drama having to do with, let's see, trying to remember. So the one of these worlds had a horrible like pandemic, and it like killed off a whole lot of the population. And they imply throughout this that the other universe caused that, and there's like a war kind of going on. So it's pretty dope. I'd check it out. It's hard to find. I had to buy it on like I think it was Amazon or one of those because it's like you can't find it anywhere.
Mhm. Gotcha. Is it like hour-long episodes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd love to check out like a little bit of that next time we hang out.
Yeah. I'll see if I can dig that up.
Okay, cool. Cool.
All right. So my next one, I talked about Firefly last one, and here's another one from Joss Whedon, this show called Angel. Angel was a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was more adult themed. Like basically, if Buffy was like them in high school, Angel would be like people who were just starting off in their life. Like, I mean, like maybe like you don't even go to college, so you just start working. And he opens up a detective agency. The first season is kind of a mess, but once they hit the second season and the third season, they really start hitting their stride. And then season 5 comes around. They slash the budget, but they somehow find a way to make it work. And they end the show knowing that they could possibly be canceled. So they actually made it like the most impossible cliffhanger. Meaning like, I'm watching this knowing that the show is probably going to be canceled. In fact, they already announced that it was canceled. I'm watching the finale and I'm like, it's a good thing they canceled it because I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. And I don't think they know either.
Okay, can you remind me at all? Because I watched the show, like the whole show, and I liked it, but I don't. From my memory, they wrapped it up okay because I can't even remember what happened at the end.
So the end of it is okay. So in the last season, they end up taking over the Wolfram and Hart law firm, which during the first 4 seasons was their hated enemy. But now because they defeated some super creature, and Wolfram and Hart went and just said, you know what? Well, we can't beat you, so we're just going to join you. So they hand over Wolfram and Hart, and they tell them you can do whatever you want with it. And of course, Wolfram and Hart, throughout the final season, there's temptations for them to do evil things, including the killing of Fred, which was the most heartbreaking fucking scene in fucking television, man. I cried. I literally cried when they killed Fred. And they killed her through the inside, and she got taken over by a demon, and the demon took over her whole body, which if you haven't seen the show, sorry, I'm spoiling it. But anyways, like the last episode, they end up like destroying like the circle of the Black Thorn, if I remember correctly. And they were supposed to be like the big evil group that actually ran the world, and they found a way of destroying it. So the devil, who they don't call him the devil, they call him some other name, but like it's the devil, opens up the gates of hell, letting into the earth realm all the mythical creatures you've ever heard of, dragons and three-headed dogs, all the stuff from fucking Harry Potter. But they don't show it because they don't have the budget for this. They just show them ready to get attacked by all this stuff, and they're telling you what they're about to get attacked by. And I think they do show it for like a split second. That's all they could afford for CGI. And it's about to be this ultimate battle where they're going to be fighting dragons and shit. And that's how the show ends. And it's like, if they continued it on, how the fuck were they going to do it? They had no money.
I just gotta mention something, Ben. If you haven't seen it, you didn't spoil anything because it pretty much made no sense, and I speak from personal experience by not.
So Winifred is introduced in the third, either the second or third season. She's brought. They end up in Pylea, which is this alternate reality, and while they're in Pylea, they find Winifred, who is from their world, but somehow she got sucked in there by accident. And they bring her back. And at first, she's this sweet little innocent, nerdy character who's scared of the world because she's been treated like shit for the last couple of years when she was stuck in Pylea because they treated her like a slave. And she's trying to get back into being who she is as a person. And through the years, you end up falling in love with this character. You just absolutely fall in love with her. And then in the middle of the 5th season, they fucking kill her.
Okay.
And it's just heartbreaking because it's Fred. It's like she's the most innocent character. She's the only character in the whole show that never pissed off anybody else. You know.
Okay. I see now. Still not getting. Okay, it's still not got it at all. Go ahead, Matt.
I had a theory about the writers, just based on what you said. So the writers probably got fired, and so they wrote something that would be too expensive for them to make for another season as a screw you.
No, I think they knew that the thing was going to end anyway, so they're like, well, they probably this company, Human Enemy, was very conscious of shows how they ended, and they did Firefly. They saw how Firefly ended, and they're like, okay, well, most of these shows end on a gigantic cliffhanger. Let's make this the biggest effing cliffhanger ever, where it's so big that we can't afford to finish off this cliffhanger. You have to do it in your head. How do you think it happened? In fact, that's when they talked to the people who made it. They went and said that's what they were looking for. Is like, you finish it. In your head, how does it finish? That's how it ends.
That sounds like the wannabe cool, hipster movie ending where they just leave it on a cliffhanger, leave it up to your imagination whether this actually happened or not. It's not bad.
There's a catchphrase from one of my favorite podcasts, and it's called lazy booking. It is kind of lazy. You're letting the audience fill in the blanks, and it's like, but at the end, how do you end it? How do you end it? You can't end the show like any other way other than to have it be just some gigantic cliffhanger that's so over the top that the network will never pay for this. So, you have anything you want to add about Angel?
Yeah, it was a cool show. It was imaginative. My favorite part was when they were turned into Muppets. It was hilarious.
The Muppet episode. Yes, there was an episode in the 5th season because they had no budget. They turned the whole cast into puppets.
Dude, my favorite part was, they are Muppets, and then all of a sudden it's time to fight, and he goes into a vampire mode. He goes, ah.
Yes, our Muppet.
Vampire Muppet. No, he wasn't like the Count. It was a lot inspired by the Count, but he gets all what's the eyebrow crinkles and the fangs come out. He's like, ah.
He's the whole vampire face. The puppet. It's adorable.
That was my favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah. The only disappointment I have with season 5 is season 5 was presented in high definition, but they never released it on Blu-ray. And I'm like, why wouldn't you release it on Blu-ray?
They have to, I don't know, make sure that you can buy it again somehow.
Well, they already had the complete set of the whole show. I would have went out and bought another copy of season 5 to have it in high definition. It's better than the high def remakes that they did of the Buffy when they ruined it by having a computer do it all. Like, hey, AI, go and take this and make it high definition. and reframe every single shot. How do you want me to frame it? I don't know. Just make it happen.
They were about to release it and about to make, millions of copies of this Blu-ray, but then all of a sudden, Wedding got canceled.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they kind of, it was one of the things where the show was always getting renewed like over the summer. So finally, like the production company just went and told them like, hey, we want to know if we're going to get a new season or not. And they said, well, if you're asking me now, the answer is no. And they said, okay, then we'll end the show. And like I said, they didn't know how to end it. So they just made it the most gigantic over the top cliffhanger you could possibly make. Where, where the audience knows there's never going to be a payoff, but they're okay with it because it's so ridiculous. What would the payoff be?
Yeah. All right.
Finding a dragon.
All right. So I'm gonna jump in with a 2-pack here. This is a 2-for-1 because these ones are so similar in the time that this happened, as well as the shortness that they had, and they're both so cool. And I know Matt is going to probably have at least something to say about these two. And that would be, we're going back to 80s cartoons again. That would be Visionaries and Sectars. And I know, Matt, you got to have something to say. Those things were so short-lived on TV. It was obviously just to sell toys, but the problem is there were so few episodes, it doesn't really sell the toys that way. But the toys were just so dang cool, with the Visionaries having the hologram staff, the hologram thing on their chest, and the Sectars were just crazy toys.
Yeah. I had the dude that was on the, like, what was it, like it had what is that kind of spider, the big furry spider, tarantula. It had tarantula legs that you put your hands through like a glove, and it was so dope. The paint on there was like this cool planned, it was like an iridescent, like a dung beetle iridescent, and then the iridescent wings that moved robotically.
Yes.
The designs of those, with the way they looked all creepy with the hand through the thing. That was genius toy stuff.
Yeah. And also Visionary. Did you have Visionaries as well too? I think you did, right?
I don't think so. Well, I had so much crap when I was a kid. I probably did, yeah.
Those were just so short-lived. And I was looking up a thing on Sectars, and they evidently tried to kickstart it back into existence back in like 2016. I don't think it was successful. But I mean, Sectars are those type of toys that, as a kid, they're just like unsettling in a way, but then they're also just super cool in the way they're unsettling. So it's like you're talking about a tarantula where you're actually putting your hand into the tarantula. I mean, that's something that a kid would be like, oh, that's so gross, but I want to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that was the awesomest toy. I might even have like part of that one, flying ant, like, dude. The dude, that was so awesome. The way they painted them, the way they designed them, that was an epic toy.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much ahead of their time in just coolness factor. I mean, that's kind of the stuff that you would expect nowadays to go as get as a collector's item that you'd set next to like your Spawn figure, or whatever figure on your display case at this point.
Yeah.
Cool.
And to Matt.
All right, let's see. So, there's another show you probably never heard of because it probably didn't get anywhere. I didn't hear about it until I looked up some recent shows. The Lazarus Project had one season. I think it was just one season. Pretty sure it was just one season. And so this is an interesting plot line, and has nothing to do with the plot that makes it cool, but it is kind of cool. So this guy finds out that he's living his life. He's got a girlfriend. She gets pregnant. They get engaged, and all of a sudden, some bad stuff happens. Like some, ironically, about the same time as the other show, a pandemic, and Then all of a sudden, he wakes up, and the last, most of a year didn't happen. He's back where he was. And this isn't your usual Groundhog Day, but it's got some of those elements, of course. But so his girlfriend isn't pregnant yet, and he's like going, wait, this is weird. This is crazy. I had a baby almost due, and we were engaged, and all this stuff. And she sees him obsessing over it, and then she leaves him. And his computer searches get the attention of some group, and they say, all right, you're one of the rare people that have this mutation where you can actually recognize. Everybody doesn't know this, but we reset time at a certain point when we have to, because the world is about to end. And you're one of a handful of people in the world that actually can tell. And so they have like world extinction events. But what happens in the next one is, he starts that year over. He gets past into the next year or whatever, and everything's awesome with his girlfriend. And it's just so much stuff going on. But she ends up getting killed. And then everything gets, what is it? He wants it to reset, so she's alive again. And so he basically screws up the entire world as badly as he possibly can so that they can reset the world so she come back to life. It's pretty cool. Yeah, check it out.
Cool.
All right, Ben?
I am going to pick one that's pretty obscure. It was only on for 7 episodes. When I was a kid, though, I was like just mesmerized by the whole premise of the show. The 100 Lives of Black Jack Savage. The 100 Lives of Black Jack Savage was from NBC, and it was about a Wall Street businessman that goes hiding from the FBI. He ends up on a Caribbean island where he ends up meeting the ghost of Black Jack Savage. And the two of them have to go on these misadventures where they're trying to make up for the 100 people that Black Jack Savage killed during his life to break some kind of curse. And yeah, the show lasted for 7 episodes. It was a mid-season replacement in 1991, and it ended like after 7 episodes with the promise that a season 2 will be coming. That never happened. And I just remember liking the idea of the show. I don't remember much of it, though. I just remember that I was upset that they canceled it. And yeah,
we should get try to find the trailers. I know some of these are gonna be hard, but try to find the trailers for these and post them in the description for us to check out. Anybody else that might possibly actually check out the show someday.
Yeah, you trust also get work to do.
That's gonna be a lot of work, like editing and stuff and so forth. Or
Oh no. You don't have to involve
Like going through this entire portion that we're doing now, this whole segment, and like not doing all the shows that we mentioned, but like take some of them and like put a video together, because somebody's like, yeah, the clips will be really hard to find or whatever they look like.
No. I'm just if you can find a link to a trailer on YouTube, then we'll list them.
But sure, like put it in the description.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll try to find my list, and I'll try to send those to you. You can post them if you want.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll see what I can find online.
Cool.
But that's what I had for Captain Jack, Black Jack, whatever it was. Was it a under? Yeah, Black Jack Sparrow, Black Jack Savage. Oh yeah.
All right, so I've just got one more, and then you guys can go back and forth on what you have. The one that I have, it ran for quite a long time, actually. I think there were 65 episodes of it, but then it got canceled because of poor toy sales, I guess. But I always thought it was a really cool idea, which was a show called Jason the Wheeled Warriors. And I don't know if you're familiar with this one at all, Matt. But it kind of was lumped into that mid-80s cartoon slot where kind of like with sectars and visionaries It might have just been an overload for kids and toys. But I just remember from the show, I don't remember the whole deal. It's probably one of those, family gets lost on a planet or whatever. And I remember the boss was named Sawboss, and the vehicles were just like, they're like these organic vehicles that would just kind of form from like vines and all of a sudden have a saw blade hanging off the top of them or off the side or something like that. They were just some really cool big toys to it. And the show itself wasn't too bad either, from what I remember.
Yeah, that's familiar. Yeah, that's pretty imaginative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess it didn't do too well because of sale overload. Because you're talking about Transformers at this time and GI Joe, so that's really taken all of the sales away.
Well, that inspired all these other little guys afterwards, I'm sure.
Yeah, true.
So what that reminds me of? Nothing can stop the animal.
Oh yeah, the animal. That was a classic commercial. I don't know. I had that toy.
Ben, you saw this?
What?
The commercial for the animal. Nothing can stop the animal.
Yes,
So it's-
apparently, but I've never heard of it.
So a monster truck, and this is like the goofiest idea possible, but it was so cool to watch this as a kid, when I don't know, I was like 8 or whatever when it came out. And so there's a monster truck, and you wanted to drive over stuff, so why not have like tiger claws come out of the wheels as they should drive over anything.
You know what's funny? Now that you mentioned what the toy did, I had one. I didn't know that was called, but I had one.
Yeah. Nice.
So did it work?
I don't remember. I was a kid though. I remember having one when I was like very, very young.
Well, I'm sure it would work. It's just like, kids are going to have, the imagination that can climb up walls or whatever stupid thing.
It never climbed up walls and stuff. If that's what you're
Yeah, I know.
But like
No.
But the teeth came out of the wheels and yeah. I didn't know what I didn't ever watch the cartoon it was from. Like I think it was like a hand-me-down gift or something.
Like it was just a commercial.
Yeah,
Oh, it was a commercial. Okay.
It's just
yeah. It looks like there's one on eBay for $52.
Oh, yeah. Ben?
Yeah, I don't think
With everything, it's probably still less than what the thing cost brand new.
that's true. Well, and I forgot to mention there's also $27.41 delivery.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's what can stop the animal.
Yeah, I did stop the animal.
All right, you ready for this? Is gonna be my last one.
All right.
Good. I think we're ready to wrap this up. This is Dark Angel, Jessica Alba.
So it went from Hazel to Dark Angel.
Angel the Dark Angel. Yeah. See, I have a theme through all of mine, and it wasn't trying for that. It just kind of worked out. Yeah. See, Jessica Alba. She played a mail carrier in a dystopian future, and she was like genetically enhanced. I don't remember too much about the show. In fact, let me have the internet like remind me about it a little bit.
Yeah, she was hella young.
Yeah, she was also insanely hot. It's what got her on the map. Like all of a sudden, like people were watching the show because of her, not because they thought the story was good.
Heard that James Cameron, who actually ran the show, like got on her about losing weight, which is like probably not good for his career. He luckily he still went on to make the most money ever.
That's probably not good for Jessica Alba either, because she's like super thin as it is.
No, she had a tiny bit of weight on her just compared to now. And that, hey, good for him. He gave her a complex that lasted decades.
Well, he was like an asshole to begin with. Like you just look at the stories of people who were working on Titanic and how he would like to make them stay in this ice cold water for hours on end just because they get the scene correct or whatever. And it's like, yeah, he like Leonardo DiCaprio was like upset with him, I think too. I think actually he might have been the one who wanted to set him straight and said like, hey man, fuck you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, you need to get the scene right. We're gonna need you to drown and die.
Can you just drown, please?
And then come back and do it right.
So it's a dystopian future. A runaway genetic enhanced super soldier escapes from a covert military facility as a child. And it takes place in Seattle in the magical year of 2019.
Dum-bum.
Remember 2019 when all this horrible stuff happened?
Which is actually not that far off, really.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle did have a whole another country form in the middle of it at one point. So, but yeah, it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. But mostly because she was in it.
Jessica Alba. Enough said.
Yes, enough said. And with that, enough said. We're gonna close up this segment.
What about Matt?
We're gonna say three, 2.5 things: Warrior Nun, Timeless, Fringe, which kind of did wrap up, sort of, but not really. Done.
I've never heard of any of those.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you links. You must check them out.
Definitely give links. I do, before we actually wrap it up, I do want to close with one that we should have actually mentioned, and Ben will understand why we should have actually mentioned. So I want to close with just saying, good morning, Miss Bliss.
Yeah, I wonder what ever happened. Like, to the people from that show. Did any of them ever go on to do anything else?
Who knows?
Oh, another show that should have kept going was
Don't stop. We want to end on good morning, Miss Bliss.
Okay.
So that's just the right one to end. So on that note, I think today we will give Ben the last word.
Yes.